Okay, everybody, it's on to the main event today. So today I'm relaxing at work, doing my thing and stuff, and I'm scrolling on Facebook for a while. My friend asks, why do females like dudes with selfish and narcissistic tendencies, then complain there are no good guys? And one of my friends put this video in the description, in the comments rather. I simply just said it's because they usually don't find out because it's too late, because I'm aware of, regardless of gender, that somebody can be a total piece of shit, whether it's being narcissistic or, a cheater or, ignorant, disrespectful, have regressive political views, and they can hide that shit for years, and then it just take one dish not getting washed, or the woman doing one thing wrong, or the man doing one thing wrong too, or the non-binary person, and then that person is cussing and fighting and, acting a damn fool. Relationships are a test, a touch and go thing, whether they're friendships, close friendships, or relationships. Everything is touch and go, and you really don't know how good or bad somebody is when you first meet them, and you only find out later. Not to mention the fact that you already know the stereotype and feminism and stuff like that. Even though I try to focus more on anti-fascism and what's going on with the fascist movement in America, I don't really do too many feminist videos. But one thing I can say is that a lot of black men need to be careful with this anti-woman and anti-gay rhetoric, anti-LGBT rhetoric, because a lot of black men are complaining about racism, but racism does not exist alone in a vacuum by itself. Racism, sexism, homophobia, and corporatism all exist together to exploit and divide workers and to keep us from fighting for a better future. And there's a lot of black men out there that don't really realize that they're enabling, black republicanism or just general white supremacy when they repeat these vacuous talking points about black women. I could just play stupid and say, what the fuck do you mean black women can't take criticism for what behavior? I can just sit here and just say what behavior, what behavior, what behavior, because you really don't necessarily know what this motherfucker is talking about. But for the sake of being a good faith person, I'm gonna just guess that he's talking about why black women are stereotypically more abrasive and shit is because you got to keep in mind black women live right next to black men. They are our, quote unquote sisters and shit like that. And I don't even like saying shit like that because I don't believe nobody's a queen or a king or a brother or a sister in that shit. We all just fucking human. But black women have to face the same shit we face, sometimes even worse because they're women and they cannot physically take the pain, strain, or distress of dealing with capitalism and white supremacy and shit like that. Black women have to watch their men get arrested and beaten and brutalized by the police during the entire civil rights movement, during the drug war, and slavery. Having children ripped from them, telling having the body types of black women, because they were a little thicker built than their white counterparts and stuff. They were Jezebels trying to seduce the white men and shit. So a lot of black women had to face the same dehumanization as black men. Not to mention the fucking fact that black women, a lot of them never really got to be that housewife and shit like that. Most black women, especially throughout U.S. history, always worked for a living from slavery up to now. So there was never any such thing as this easy life a black woman had when the man just had control of everything. This time period is a fascist talking point proposed to incels so they can get you on board with the rest of their shit. So don't get wrong or really weirded out when especially a white person says that shit, and the next thing you know, 2 videos later they're talking about eugenics and race realism and how feminism is a degenerate concept to destroy the white race and stuff. But I guess if you a Hotep or Black Hebrew Israelite, you just swap the race out and try to get approval for whatever the fuck you saying. It's about 3 videos this guy's made, and I've already probably wasted 5 or 10 minutes just presupposing the bullshit that's about to come out of this guy's mouth. But black women don't have to take criticism for shit because number one, even after everything I said with black women dealing with capitalism and white supremacy just like black men do, and even on a worse level sometimes, and even though they were dehumanized and are still dehumanized as sluts and Jezebels and shit trying to introduce the white men, black women never, like I said, they never got to work. They never got to be housewives, and they always had to work for a fucking living. And not all black women behave the same way. You got some black women, sure, that are loud, twerk in public, you know, and stuff like that. And that's their own fucking business anyway. It really doesn't have anything to do with you or your dating life and shit. Like, I go to my downtown area a lot. I see women drunk and acting a darn fool and stuff like that of all different races. So, this vacuous bullshit about, bad behavior or being like, being in party mode. And any race of person or anybody can have a party mode is, oh, it's degenerate, it's disgusting. This is why you can't get a man because some fucking black woman just worked 55 hours at Target dealing with people bullshit and she want to go downtown and get drunk and shake her ass. She's the bad person for it. And I'm not even that type of guy that go around like, oh, I got to defend our black women in every other sentence. But it's just calling out bullshit for when I know that it is. But I guess somebody like this, because I watched a few of his other videos, will prescribe like, oh, you're prescribing my position without watching the video. Is because I know people like you, dude. You don't actually care about helping men find a girlfriend or get a better future. You give a fuck about grifting, using people's loneliness as a bludgeoning tool to keep them coming back to your channel, looking for answers that you will never get and stuff like that. Because you could be telling men about, employment opportunities, about hygiene, about, women's issues and how to approach women. But instead of telling them that, you just, oh, black women, they don't know how to take criticism. They ain't shit. How do they expect to be loved when they do this, that, and the other? Like, come on, dude. And it's not even about, like I said, being a huge feminist or black woman defender. It's just when somebody is full of shit, they're full of shit. And listening to a guy like this, you're going to be the furthest thing away from getting a girlfriend or a wife. Because don't no woman on fucking earth of any race at this point in history want a man that's regressive and stupid like this, where they are pretty much treated as property and a second-class citizen and don't have the right to let their hair down and have fun. Or are automatically stereotyped. So I guess we would blow it to full screen and shit. Nah. Let's do it.
What up, YouTube? I am your host, Mio Editorials and Reviews. Back in here with one more video. Alright guys, we need to get
I always got the feeling that this channel didn't really start as a, black fascism pipeline video. Channel. I always imagine he started as doing tutorials, maybe making something or painting or art. And he made one or two comments about women, not being shit, quote unquote. And then it caught on to the Grift's algorithm of making fun of black women.
Ultra.
And women in general at large.
Yeah, you see the title, you see the thumbnail. Let's get in there. Unreal video that I wanted to bring to you guys today. Very insightful, the type of learnings that we're going to be able to get out of this. There's a lot to unpack.
We ain't gonna learn shit from your dumb ass.
There's a lot to extract. The brother and the sister are on a radio show. I believe that it's a podcast. And they're having a conversation about things in the black community. This goes without saying. By the end of this conversation, you will understand the importance.
I can say the N-word. You would notice that this bitch ass nigga throughout this entire video won't mention nothing about capitalism and white supremacy and how it socioeconomically affects the black community and especially black women to have them behave a certain way. He won't say that not one fucking time. I can guarantee it.
Of listening to respond versus listening to react. And I also think this right here breaks down and demonstrates the difference of how black men communicate versus how black women communicate. Without further ado.
See, this is why. The thing is that I don't think women could take criticism without it being aimed.
What's crazy is I literally sat here in this chair and agreed with him.
It's not about agreeing.
I agreed with him. I 100%
They can't take criticism without coupling it with black men.
Because
they have to do that.
Talk about we are black.
That's not how you sincerely.
Because why are you being divisive? We are
That's
black
not. Why is that divisive?
people.
Why is that divisive?
I'm about to tell you, we are
It's
black.
because you being fucking ignorant and you won't listen to anything she has to say because you know your audience is fucking jerking off to you demeaning a black woman and stuff like that.
We are a a community of black people.
So that's the issue. So now that's the
if
issue.
we can talk about black women,
And yes, we are a community and stuff like that. And the way that women act is somewhat of a result of the way men act and shit like that. But I think both black men and women, in my personal opinion, it's not about man versus woman. And that's feminism for, you know, any race. I don't think it's man versus woman. I think it's, you know, people versus social hierarchy that shouldn't really exist.
and come to the agreement that that music is problematic, what is left to talk about? Why can't we now move on to another discussion, which is the black man?
Because, hold up, no, I'll let it go a little further.
I'm not arguing with you.
But
I agree.
no.
So why do we have to keep talking about it?
Let me pause it
Bitch
right there.
ass.
Okay, let me pause it right there.
Okay,
it's about
go
to turn
ahead,
to another
bitch.
level here in a quick second. Now, just to repeat some of the things, and I don't know if you guys had caught it. Apparently, they were having a conversation. What they end up going into the future to compare is lyrics, song lyrics. The conversation turned up when the young brother said something that triggered the young lady. What did he say? Black women cannot take criticism. I've said this from Jump Street, in an idea that the black man has been exposed to criticism through the entirety of our history.
And so has fucking black women. Do you think that racism and white supremacy and the worst parts of capitalism didn't affect their lives like it did ours? You don't see all the fucking pictures and videos of black women getting killed by the police and manhandled by fucking racist cops and shit. All the black women that have been kidnapped, raped, and lynched by fucking white supremacist mobs and shit. All the black women throughout fucking U.S. history that had their fucking children taken from them. So what the fuck are you talking about? Black women have not faced any persecution or been quote unquote fucking criticized and shit like that. Remember earlier, I just fucking got finished talking about the fact that they said that black women were Jezebels trying to seduce fucking white men and stuff because they had additional sexual features to their bodies and shit like that. And I'm talking about before the so-called POG shit was even a fucking thing. I'm talking about 1800s, early 20th century and shit like that. When white people thought it was a bad thing to have a fat ass and shit. So don't give me this shit, man, where you're trying to be like, oh, they can't take criticism. It's not only do black women have to take criticism, they have to work through criticism, and motherfuckers like you don't want to take any of the shit they ever experienced into fucking consideration. Shameless, man.
America, black women now are beginning to get criticized a little bit more. Now, I
They've
will
always been getting criticized. Do not believe this shit.
say this from a criticism perspective. This is something that I believe. I believe that men are better at taking criticism because they put themselves out there more. Okay?
No men are not better at taking criticism and shit like that. That's a classic feature of toxic masculinity. Because a man could be fixing a fucking car, and it could be a woman that's an auto mechanic walk up and say, hey, turn this piece this way. And I bet you 9 times out of 10, regardless of race, this man will not listen and be like, no, it goes like this, and it must be something wrong. And a dude will literally ruin his fucking engine trying to put a piece in wrong before he listens to something a woman has to say.
Women generally are the receivers of male attention.
And I said it in a video before that if you actually listen to women, like some of their ideas about, you know, life and how to do things and strategy and shit like that, you'll learn a lot.
Men generally have to initiate. And that comes with a lot of turning down, which
This has nothing to do with that. And then like, not only do this has like nothing to do with what we're talking about, how many black women you think go out there and try to, you know, approach men or try to apply for job positions and have to deal with being turned down and shit like that? You think that black women just like sit at home and like not do anything? Which I just got finished fucking telling this stupid fuck that they never got to do through history. They've been working the entire time that we fucking have and never got to stay at home and be treated like fucking housewives and shit. And in the cases they did, it was rare. So what the fuck are you talking about? That black women never put themselves out there. They've always had to put themselves out there for being maids, office workers, postal workers, janitors, teachers, you know, and all this shit. And even sometimes working in factories and stuff like that, even up till today. So all this, or dealing with motherfuckers like you, looking at their ass, bending over when they at Walmart setting up a fucking display or something like that. So don't give me this shit, man, with you up here talking about black women never faced criticism or been faced rejection for going for fucking opportunities. Like I said, throughout history, black women never got to stay at home. They never do. And they still fucking don't.
And in fact can be taken in as criticism. Also, men are usually more likely to set them up in a position to fail.
Huh?
Thus leading to criticism.
What?
And I think as far as from a societal perspective, as long as you get these kind of key differences, then in my opinion, you are going to...
It's a dual argument that could be made, especially for black women who never got to stay home and always had to fucking work, you stupid dipshit. Not to mention the fact if black women or women in general aren't taking opportunities, it's because the social hierarchy entices women to not take risk. So they fucking don't. So they can satisfy pricks like you. But of course, after the 1960s, the fucking you know, the small civil rights movement we had, the huge civil rights movement we had, feminism was an integral part, and black women benefited from this influx of feminist ideals into the United States, and they began to build their own wealth and opportunities themselves without the need of men.
To get more men that
And
are okay.
what I was gonna say is that the stereotype was always and still is for some regressive dipshits like this that women shouldn't work, women shouldn't have jobs, women should stay home. And as long as you keep pushing those stereotypes and shit, you're contributing to the same shit you complaining about.
With a lot more criticism.
You only 4 minutes
even think
in,
about
man.
how
Come on,
guys
dude.
mess with each other in male groups. We're always criticizing each other, and it's all fun and games at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying?
Who the fuck you hang around?
If you in a space of good energy,
Jesus, man.
women don't
Come
do that
on.
like that to that degree.
Yes, the fuck they do.
So I
Women
agree with
be
him. I just
blazing
wanted
it.
to let that
Dude, no. Women be hoeing the shit out of each other. If one of their friends come out with a weave that's ugly or some eyelashes that are too long or some ugly shoes on, they immediately get told to go back in the house and change that shit. So this bullshit about women don't criticize each other and they just let their friends walk around in ugly clothing or some shit, this doesn't happen.
No, and I do agree with what he just said, but she had an initial emotional reaction and wasn't listening to respond because maybe he would have...
It's because y'all do this debate tactic against black women all the time, is that you will continuously interrupt them when they're trying to make points. So that would in turn piss the woman off and make her start yelling. Every last one of you fuckers do it. Umar does it. Kevin Samuels does it. I bet your bitch ass to do it. If you debate me, you ain't gonna talk over me like that. I guarantee you that. But you probably wouldn't do it anyway because, oh, this is a man. I gotta respect a man. But if you debate a woman, you're gonna talk over her. And of course, she's gonna get pissed off. What is she supposed to do? And then not to mention the fact that she's in a debate and, you know, she's trying to... Because I debated some, like, Hebrew Israelites in person, too. So I know what the fuck you type of people do. You're trying to change people's minds. And to have somebody talk over you when you know you got good points to make with vacuous bullshit that doesn't matter is very insulting. And it's kind of just wasting her time.
started to explain the things that I'm explaining right now. Now, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. It's just my opinion.
I got you, bro. You wrong. There you go.
I think because we have been exposed to more criticism, much more of us can deal with being criticized from a gender
Fucking
perspective.
idiot. Oh my God, this talking point.
Let's keep going. Let's see how she responds to this.
Why can't we now move on to another situation?
If you talk about domestic violence, I am not right after that gonna say
she don't want to.
Black people just so disrespectful, and then you don't that. Look, why would I do that?
Listen.
You know what I'm saying? Why?
In addition to explaining that he's trying to rap less about doing drugs,
exactly.
Lil Baby revealed that he no longer takes Percocet. I'm trying because I done rapped about drugs that I don't even take. If that's Baby, if that's not promoting drug usage, I don't know what is.
That is.
So then
Baby
here
is
we
a
are.
real
so
piece of
Baby
shit, by the
promotes drug
way.
usage. Future promotes drug usage. Meg raps about sex and promotes hypersexualization. Cardi B raps about hypersexualization.
And drugs too.
So
and
now
drugs
what's
too.
the common ground? Because the fix is not only black women,
So
and the
it's
fix
not.
is not only black men.
Not
So
just black
So
people. Hey, sometimes after this video, or listen to Black Flag, slip it in.
we need to address it holistically.
So what I'm
Wait, hold on, real quick before he gets into it. Now, what it seems as though is that they're having a conversation regarding, who is at fault for advertising like bad things within the black community. Is it male rappers for talking about drugs and drug use and proliferating what that is, or is it women that over sexualize? And now, I think both are necessary.
I don't care what you think. It's capitalism advertising to suburban white people for the stereotypes of what it means to be a black person. That's why you see a lot of that exaggerated shit in a lot of the music, because most black people are not drug dealers. Most black people work for a living or are disabled or some shit like that and have normal lives. Every black woman, even the finest fucking black woman ever, is not a fucking slut, is not a stripper, or some like vacuous fucking stereotype or some shit like that. Just like every black man is not somebody walking around with a gun ready to fuck every white guy's white wife that he walk past and shit like that. These vacuous stereotypes are a result of capitalism, the porn industry, and the entertainment industry exaggerating the struggles of black people and some of the things that we have to turn to make money and survive. So this vacuous bullshit where he's about to say that, it's women's fault or women shouldn't be talking about this, that, or the other, is not really black men's or black women's fault. It's capitalism's fault, as it always is and shit. And that's why you will notice, like, rappers that do rap for the art, even Eminem or Kendrick Lamar or J. Cole, I don't even listen to rap music. I listen to like Minor Threat or NoFX or some shit most of the time. But I will say that I noticed that rappers that rap for the art are always lower card than the rappers that are full of shit. Every time, without a doubt. And even the rappers that rap for the art of it gotta throw in some bullshit to keep people attention. Mostly, the white audience that wants to hear the exaggerated nature of what it's like to be a black person.
Necessarily bad, but you can handle both of those things separately. I don't think that it is correct.
It's together. It's directly together. No, this shit is directly together. It's more together than this guy in his hand at night for the next 15 to 20 years until he changes his stupid political views. No, those things exist together because I'll call them out. Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, or even going back to in the day, Nicki Minaj, or The Baby, Future, or T Grizzly. All these people rap about drugs, hypersexualization, stealing, taking advantage of people, and more. I can also say that this stuff does not necessarily reflect on their views as people, even though I feel like The Baby is a piece of shit. But that's another story for another time. But you already know Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion has said, many different progressive things and have shown that they are people that actually care about their community and shit outside of the personification of the music that they make and stuff like that. And many other male rappers and shit like that, like Lil Baby and shit like that with the Bigger Picture song and what have you. So this weird stereotyping that this guy is doing actually reminds me of the arguments that racists make about black people. Like actual Nazis make this kind of argument saying that, the reason why blacks are the way that they are is because of the music they listen to. He's just saying black women, but like let's say if I was to go watch, the Klansman James Hake or the Nazi Nick Fuentes, they will be definitely going be on a platform saying that oh, blacks, the reason why they're the way that they are is because the music that they listen to, or some shit like that, or some self-hating, you know, dipshit like Jesse Lee Peterson or Candace Owens. They all white supremacists make this same talking point, except he's making it only on black women and trying to exclude black men from the conversation and shit like that. But it's like I said, this conversation has to happen together. I already answered why rap music is the way that it is, and what about some of the other like rappers and shit? What about like Trippie Redd or something, like Juice WRLD and shit? What the fuck you gotta focus on the fucking because, and it's like you notice that you, or Willow Smith or some shit. What about that? What about Willow Smith? That's a black female artist that makes punk rock, modern pop punk. Why don't you focus and talk about her? Why the fuck you gotta try to focus on this one stereotype of, you know, the person that every black woman is? I done talked to and dated, took out on dates, many alternative black women that don't even like Megan Thee Stallion and shit like that. What are you talking about, this bullshit where, you know, oh, because it's like I said, most of the people listening to Megan Thee Stallion about, you know, fucking and getting her pussy eaten are white, not even black women. So, like, this guy is just like, it's mind-blowing how, like, stupid he is, because he thinks like a fucking caveman where he just sees like, ooga ooga, I heard black women listen to Cardi B talk about using men, so that you ascribe that to all black women and shit. And it's like, don't get me wrong, I'll even go further to say this. Yes, sometimes black women get on my fucking nerves, but that's not all black women. And even worse off, don't stereotype them by making arguments that white supremacists make about all black people.
To try to compare and contrast who is more at fault for the issues, because like, what's the goal of the conversation?
And it's like, don't get me wrong, it's like I said, they're both wrong. You're definitely the fuck wrong. It's capitalism is why black music is so commodified and exaggerated.
Both of those things are bad. To try to compare it is just like, it's disingenuous.
I wonder, do he know what the word capitalism mean, and product and profit incentives and shit for rappers to make music that appeals to the exaggeration of what it means to be black to white audiences? I wonder would he even be able to wrap his small little fucking brain around that.
Of an argument to try to stand up, because it's really offering a challenge that without data you can't really, you can't quantify it.
If the only, I don't, so
it's already
just came out with
quantified.
a song probably like 3 months ago called Bigger Picture, right? Like, it's a legit single, it's a legit song, it's probably one of my favorite songs. I'm saying,
I will throw you through that fucking wall. That's what I'm saying. Did I not just get finished talking about how Megan Thee Stallion spoke up and said that it's okay to be a black nerd and to like anime and shit like that, which probably meant a lot to many people, including my ex-girlfriend, to say that just because you're a black female nerd don't mean that you are ugly or there's something wrong with you. Do you not see Cardi B doing interviews with Bernie Sanders and talking about issues in the black community? And don't get me wrong, making songs about shit, yeah, it means a lot. I listen to punk rock a lot for this very reason. And Public Enemy and X-Clan and shit. But actions matter too. And it's like I don't know if he's like unaware. I think he's aware of the like activism that Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B and all these other female rappers partake in, but he's maliciously choosing to be stupid about it so he can continue to tear down black women for no reason. You gotta keep that audience paying you some way.
I understand what you're saying.
I need a soundboard.
But when you only are allowed to make a certain type of song, that is a unique problem in itself.
And the only reason why there is like that is because there's a profit incentive to make music exaggerating the black experience that caters mostly to white upper middle class people. That's why you see so many fucking white boys, even in their skate videos, playing shit talking about getting money and living in a trap and fucking other people's bitches and stuff. And I'm not saying that black people don't like this music too, but the majority of people consuming that music are white people. And not to mention the fact these are it markets to the type of white women that say the N-word in private.
I don't think he only has to make this particular type of song. I think he can rap about...
Out of all of his discography, he made one song. That now is enough for you to say...
One song? He made a couple.
What are the other ones?
What's the other ones?
What do you don't listen to him.
I'm saying...
What's wrong with Something Prove?
Answer the question. Answer the question, you bitch ass nigga. Don't even do it, bro. See? And this is how they keep their audience confused. Is because instead of answering the fucking question, he's gonna sit here and bitch for about 15-20 seconds.
He's talking about... He's a nigga from the hood.
And it's not 1,000 songs made by Lil Baby about civil rights activism and shit like that. It's only one. He's not X-Clan or Public Enemy just because he made one song.
So he has something to prove. Like,
that's a good song. I'm not talking about promoting drugs.
He's not out here, like, that's not...
What about Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion's actual political activism, interviewing and talking to politicians?
A pretty thing either. Like, what do you mean?
What has to be pretty?
Because he's talking about the fact that as a black man, he's been pigeonholed into the hood.
What are you proving right now?
If you would let me finish my sentence...
And don't forget that black women are pigeonholed and redlined into the hood right along with us.
I would speak, but that's the fucking problem. You're not interested in the holistic community.
He's not. I'm sorry to keep interrupting her because he's not interested in learning new things and figuring ways that he can promote, positive values about fixing problems in the black community. He's interested in making money off people that's having a hard time finding a girlfriend. He doesn't care about solving any of these problems or making the black community a better place to live. Maybe somewhere where he started before he got rich, deep down he cared, but this guy does not give a fuck. The only thing he wants to do in this conversation is reroute the conversation to the problems in the black community being some black woman's fault.
Interested in getting on this platform and shitting on black women.
Nope, that's how you're taking it.
That shit is whack as hell.
That's bad. It's whack as that's how you're taking it. What's whack is that you're taking it like that.
The whole community has problems.
Of course.
Black women have problems. Black men have problems.
And it's pretty much the same problem. It's capitalism and white supremacy and dealing with the effects of things like redlining in a post-Jim Crow America. So it's not about man versus woman, even though I'm siding with what she's saying even more, even though she's not being politically prescriptive like I am. But she has a point.
If you listen to what I said,
I just sat here. You done just went on a whole rant.
You're not listening to what I'm saying.
You're not listening to me because I never stopped talking.
Because he don't want to listen because he can't keep the grift up.
You just sat here and said that Baby does not promote drug usage.
You not listening to me because I never stopped talking. Now, what I find intriguing...
What she meant is that he didn't take in any of the information that she was putting out there while she was talking. And it's like I said, this guy does not give a fuck about fixing any of the problems in the black community. They just care about making money off people having a hard time getting girlfriends. And they will sell, disenfranchised black men or black men that, they just need to do the right couple things to find a woman. They just want to sell them bullshit. So they keep coming back to their channel. Oh, this week, look at what this black woman did. Oh, next week, look at what this black woman did. Oh, look at what these black women said. And not actually propose any solutions to these problems or have a socioeconomic analysis to the problems in the black community like I do. Or even she does.
About this clip is that she's talking about working together or solving holistic problems of the community.
And you supposed to. Don't tell me. You about to make a Nazi argument, man. Here we go.
But through the way that she is communicating
with
a black man on the other side of the room to her is not in a way to respond or to communicate in a two-person conversation. She's trying to overstep. She's trying to correct. She's trying to teach in a demeaning way.
It's just like my favorite socialist Fred Hampton. Shut the fuck up. It's just like my favorite socialist Fred Hampton said, is that you got to unite with people of all different races. You got to unite with the feminists. You got to unite with the queers. You got to unite with the white people, and even the ones that are fucking ignorant, and reteach them. Fight the ones you have to, but teach the ones that you can. That we got to stand together as a people to fight capitalism and white supremacy. You cannot be going around promoting vacuous bullshit saying that, oh, black women are just not trying hard enough in society, without giving any actual solutions to the problems that are going on in society and shit, or asking why black women think the way that they do or present themselves the way that they fucking do. You're not having any sociological analysis about the way that black women were always demonized and called sluts, whores, and undesirable, and second to white women and shit like that, or even Latino and Asian women. Till this day, it's a lot of motherfuckers that think like that, which is fucked. Not to mention also, you know, you could have no economic analysis of the disenfranchisement of black women being forced to not be able to go to college right alongside black men and to work menial labor jobs where they get paid very fucking little. Not to mention the sociological analysis of them dealing with things like police brutality and, you know, domestic violence and shit like that, and watching, you know, because like black women helplessly watch many black men get arrested, you know, get beaten by the police, get killed because some drug deal going wrong, or they got into some stupid confrontation and shit. And that has a that has a traumatizing effect on the psyche of all black women and shit. And you will see it expressed through their music. Not to mention that it's a lot of men out there in general, not just black men, that are abusive pieces of shit that think that women are not human beings with individual thoughts, feelings, and emotions and motivations to life, but are supposed to be tools and toys to be used and discarded when the man is ready to move on. So like this bullshit you're talking about, which I forgot because I done crushed like the shit he was saying like so fucking hard about, you know, black women not trying hard enough and white supremacy and pretty much capitalism only affecting black men, is simply not true.
In the group conversations, when I have someone sitting right next to me, is to give a model of how we should be communicating. And I don't get it right 100% of the time, but I know this.
You always get it wrong.
Listening while standing up a degree of empathy into how you perceive and then communicate, and giving the other person a room to breathe, a room to speak, to get their thoughts.
Okay, idiot. Why don't we have a conversation about all the abuse and trauma that black women had to face right alongside us over the past 200 years, and how it can affect them socioeconomically and in their mentalities and stuff. And the music that they write too, if we want to even go there. If you want to talk about that, we can. But you don't want to do that. You want to just keep saying that, see, look, black women aren't trying hard enough again.
And bringing across the table, I do that because it's respect. I am respecting them, that person in that conversation. The way that this conversation is going, there is definitely, without a doubt, a lack of respect. You know, but some people feel as though...
I'll put it like this. Even though she went about it wrong, I will say this. You gotta earn yelling at people during debates and shit like that. See, what she should have did is calmly built up her arguments in first and just like made this guy look stupid, set a couple of examples if she knew about, like, you know, the analysis that I know, like about capitalism and, you know, white supremacy and the fact that black women have never truly been able to embrace their femininity and stuff like that until about now. And then she just cussed them the fuck out at the end and called them all kind of bitches and stuff. That's what she should have did. She did just cuss them out a little too early.
That you don't understand me, or that the disrespect happens, at that point is, it doesn't even matter. I don't want to hear what you want to say anymore. You're just going to sit there and you're going to listen to my point, because my point is what matters. This is the breakdown of the communication.
Because it's the right point, and my man's over here is wrong. Just like you, he doesn't give a fuck about fixing any of these problems and only cares about grifting money out of disenfranchised black men and getting them to blame their problems on black women instead of capitalism and white supremacy.
So what they hear is blame, right? What they hear is blame. If you listen even to the WAP music video, if you think I was blaming Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, that that's what I was doing, you didn't listen to it correctly. Really, I'm blaming white men. Most things that I say, I'm really blaming white men. However, it's not that hard for black women to hear he's blaming and shitting on black women. But I'm not. I'm just not.
Why didn't your bitch ass say that then?
That's how they hear it.
Listen, that's actually the end of the clip, end of the video. One of the other reasons why I wanted to make sure that I showed this as well is that, listen, all the times in my comments, I get similar comments as to what the young lady was trying to say. Listen, at the point that you criticize,
my point before we end this video, and I probably won't say nothing else until the very, very end, is why the fuck are you like a caveman? Why the fuck do you just like hear one thing or another, or you see like a black woman twerking in front of a bar listening to Megan Thee Stallion, and then you go home saying, see, black women, they ain't shit, they don't do this, they don't do that, they wonder why the black men are going to the white women and all this other shit, instead of having an actual socioeconomic analysis to why black women act and behave the way that they fucking do, not taking into account any of the trauma that they had to face alongside of us fighting off white supremacy and capitalism, and also sexism. I almost forgot, you sexist piece of shit. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, and that's my main question to this guy. Why is everything just caveman think? Why don't you dig deeper into the issues that the black community is thinking, instead of trying to use black women as the scapegoat enemy for why things are the way that they are in our community and stuff like that? You don't blame predatory policing. You don't blame the drug war. You don't blame redlining. You don't blame hiring discrimination. You don't blame shit but black women for everything that's going wrong in society. And that black women lightly irritate me sometimes when I'm out skating or something like that, because they might laugh at me or get in my way or something. But I'm not stupid enough to regress back to thinking like, see, that's why black men is the way it is now, because a lot of black women aren't humble. Fuck off, man. Like, think some goddamn time instead of just prescribing shit because you saw a black woman like enjoying herself in the night on the town listening to some trap music.
Doesn't mean that you are trying to get at a person or get at a community. It's just criticism. It's commentary. It's okay. But then goes into exactly what I'm talking.
You're criticizing the wrong thing, you stupid dipshit. Like I just said, you're not criticizing any of the systems, any of the socioeconomic problems that could cause black women to be the way that they are.
Talking about the media and the things that hit our eyes. This portion of YouTube, media has never seen this. Media has never seen this to a degree of bashing men or criticizing men or commentary about men. Men are trash. Men ain't shit. All of that is normal in our media.
You want to know something, dude? It's like people like you that really make, dating really fucking hard, because pieces of shit like you actually are rapists, pedophiles, womanizers, and general all around just fucking bad people. You are the personification, you and that other guy are the personification of the shit that women complain about. Women aren't talking about people like me that go about their business every fucking day and, work. Maybe I'll talk to a woman out in the street every now and again, whether I get her name or number, I don't care. They're talking about people like you, people that think that they're owed something for being a man.
Yeah. All of that is normal, but if you flip it around and you criticize things that you see that women...
Because when you flip it around, you don't know what the fuck you talking about, or it be something that feminists are already trying to address and shit like that. So if we gonna flip it around and criticize shit, why don't we talk about the social, gender expectations on both genders and stuff? Why don't we change that? Why don't the man do the dishes sometimes? Why don't the man stay at home sometimes? Why don't the man want to take care of his hygiene? Why don't the man just want to open a fucking door without expecting to get a number from a woman or some shit like that? And many other fucking things I can bring up as like anecdotes and shit that women complain about and stuff. Why don't you do that instead of, doing this grifting bullshit where everything has to circle back around to blaming black women for everything?
Men are doing and have a bit of commentary about it. That's the type of stuff that I see in my comment section from time to time. And I think it goes back to the original point at the beginning. Not used to being criticized. Questions, comments, concerns? Y'all already know what to do.
I'm concerned, alright. You fucking idiot. Okay, how would I even end this video? Well, I end this video by saying this. Maybe one day I will have a dating advice video, But just knowing, hating black women and blaming them for all your problems, especially if you're a black man, like a black nerd that's struggling with like talking to women, is not going to solve or fix any of your problems. It's only going to make things worse. Because all this BS about women have to be submissive, women have to listen to the man, women have to be, second class citizens. Women don't want that. Women of any race and shit. And I don't think that because you're going around bashing black women that some white woman is going to come save you from loneliness and shit. It doesn't work. I've been through it. I used to have regressive and dumbass political views, but I changed over the years because I took in new information and, learned new things about how the world really works, especially pertaining to capitalism, sexism, and white supremacy, and how these three problems in society can intersect with one another. Not to mention like mental health and other small stuff that like tags along with it. So all this stuff about, black women not taking quote unquote accountability or criticism for their behavior, it's just nonsense. And don't listen to this guy. I guess I can give a little advice, make sure you taking care of your hygiene, shave, do your hair, take a shower, try to be, doing something progressive in life, go to school, try to get good grades, or, get a job, what have you. And, if you're a kid, get a summer job. You can't go on a date with no woman if you don't got no money. And last but not least, my favorite piece of advice, especially if you're a black nerd, just try to talk to other nerdy, just talk to nerdy black women or nerdy women in general, and you will have better luck and shit like that. You see a woman with like a My Hero shirt on or with like blue hair or some shit, you go up to that woman and talk to her because, that girl that you think is really hot that's on a volleyball team or, cheerleading squad ain't gonna necessarily drop back from her social circle to feel bad for you. So you gotta put in the work to get a woman yourself, and you can't expect women just to fall at your feet just because you're a man. And I'm out.